Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Joshua Bridwell Show. This is the podcast where we talk about your personal and professional growth, and I share stories, insights, and practical steps to help you grow. And in today's episode, I'm going to be talking to you about something that by no means comes naturally to me. This is something that comes naturally to other people, and it's something that I don't excel in, but my wife does. And today we're going to talk about the development and the importance of emotional intelligence, or EQ. So we hear about leaders all the time that are really good at casting vision, casting the mission for the company, and or are really great at technical skills, but the ability to understand and manage emotions, both your emotions and the emotions of other people, is what sets truly great leaders apart. And so emotional intelligence can affect different areas of your life. It can affect how you handle stress, how you make decisions, and even how you manage relationships. So today, I'm going to be breaking down different pieces of emotional intelligence for you and why it's even important for leadership in the first place. And I'm going to give you practical steps to help you grow in this area. So, first of all, what is emotional intelligence? Well, it's the ability to recognize, understand, and manage our own emotions while also recognizing and influencing the emotions of other people. EQ has four main components that we're going to talk about in this podcast. The first one is self-awareness. The second one is self-regulation. The third is empathy. And the fourth one is social skills. So IQ focuses primarily on cognitive abilities, but EQ helps you to understand the emotional landscape of yourself, your team, your family, anybody that you surround yourself by. So, why does this matter in leadership anyway? It's going to help you to stay calm under pressure. It's going to help you to motivate your team. It's also going to help you to create a great culture that full of respect and trust. And it allows you to connect with people on a deeper level. Again, this does not come naturally to me. I'm very, very much the logical one in my marriage. My wife is very much the emotional one in our marriage. And please hear me when I say that being logical by nature is not a bad thing. And being emotional in nature is not a bad thing. They both have their ups, they both have their downs. And if you are somebody that is not strong in emotional intelligence, well, I'm going to be helping you out today, I hope. And this is something that I have to practice and be intentional with each and every day. So, we talked about the four main components of emotional intelligence. So, the first one is self-awareness. Self-awareness is all about understanding yourself, your emotions, as well as your thoughts and your actions. Why is this important as a leader? Well, as a leader, being self-aware allows you to recognize when stress is affecting your decisions or when your emotional state might be influencing your behavior towards your team. This is where being logical really comes into play with emotional intelligence. It's not the only place, but this is a place. So for me, being able to take a step back from a stressful situation and go, okay, how am I feeling right now? Why am I feeling the way that I'm feeling? Is this something that's actually as serious as I'm making it in my head? How can I move past this? Is something that being logical by nature can really help with whenever it comes to mastering emotional intelligence. And how can you develop this outside of asking yourself those questions? I want to challenge you to journal once a week. And I'm not talking about just texting in your phone or typing in your phone notes. I'm talking about physically writing it out. It's going to help you to process in a much different way. So I want you to try reflecting in a journal. I physically have a journal that I will write in very consistently because I like to externally process. And whenever I'm able to write it out, the logical mind that I have is able to see more pieces of the puzzle that I might not be able to see if they just live in my head. So take a moment each day or once a week and think about what triggers you emotionally. What are you going through? And how is this affecting your team? How do you react to your emotions? The more that you understand your emotional patterns, the better you can manage them. Get them out of your head, look at them, ask yourself, am I reacting to this emotionally appropriate? Am I putting the right weight on this situation? The second component of emotional intelligence is self-regulation. And self-regulation is the ability to control or redirect disruptive emotions and impulses. So leaders with strong self-regulation don't let their emotions take over and dictate their actions. So this means that you can stay calm in high pressure situations, and that will ultimately lead to better decision making on the fly. Making good decisions that are going to have an impact on your family, on the organization that you're a part of. Being able to stay calm in these high stress situations and being able to think before acting is highly important. I cannot stress that enough. There have been a lot of situations at work where I've had to be flexible and I've had to make a decision that was going to make a lasting impact on the lives of students, teachers, coworkers, creating a safe experience for a lot of people. And in a situation where things can go wrong, things will go wrong. But how you handle that speaks a lot about you as a leader. So being able to self-regulate and keep yourself calm in these high stress situations is going to make you a much better leader in the long run. So please develop this. And here's how you can develop self-regulation. Practice mindfulness. I didn't used to believe in mindfulness, but ever since I've been practicing, it's made a big difference in my life, my leadership, my family. So how can you practice mindfulness? Well, you can practice mindfulness by taking deep breathing techniques to keep yourself grounded when emotions are high. It might mean that you tell your team or your family, hey, I need to take just 5 seconds, 10 seconds. I need to step away because I need to collect my thoughts, make a decision or process something during this time. Being able to step away and keep yourself grounded when the emotions are just all over the place. So when you feel anger coming along or frustration, just take a deep breath. What my wife would recommend is star breathing. If you're not familiar with star breathing, please go look it up. It is a really helpful method and it works with mindfulness. And it sounds really simple to do. And it is. You just have to know that it makes a world of difference in any situation that you're a part of. And it's going to make a difference in how you handle stressful situations, which once again is highly important for you and your team. And the third component of EQ is empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand the emotions of others. Now, I need to give a disclaimer here because there is a right way to do it and there is a wrong way to do it. It's about putting yourself in someone else's shoes and trying to see things from their perspective. Empathetic leaders build trust, create strong relationships, and are better at resolving conflict. Now, here's why I said there is a right way to do this and a wrong way to do this. It's about trying your hardest to see things from their perspective, but you never will. Anytime somebody comes up to me and says that they're going through something difficult, I promise you that there's a phrase that will never come out of my mouth. And that phrase is often said by other people, and it is, I understand. I do not like that phrase. It's not empathetic. You think that you are relating, but you can actually do more harm than good. You think you understand. Two people can experience the exact same event and have two very different perspectives of that event. Here's why. Everyone has their own set of experiences, their own way of viewing the world, their own way of processing things, their own memories that get connected to who knows what. And so anytime that two people experience something similar does not mean that they automatically understand. So when you're empathizing with somebody, don't say that you understand what it is that they are going through. Lean in with questions. If it's something similar to what you've experienced, for example, if two people have experienced a car crash, one person may have been hurt, the second person may have been hurt, but the aftercare could look completely different. One person could have insurance and the next person might not have insurance. Lean in with questions. Hey, is this something that your insurance is going to cover? What injuries did you have? Not, oh, I understand exactly what you went through because I was in a car wreck too. Lean in with questions. Do your best to see things from their perspective. And the way that you can get to their perspective is by asking questions. And people may not want to answer questions right away. That's okay. Just tell them, I'm sorry that this happened. I'm sorry you're going through this. When you're ready to talk, I'm here. And then when they come to you, when they're ready to talk, lean in with questions and try your best to see things from their perspective. Don't assume that you understand just because you have been through something that they've been through. So once again, ask questions. Active listening is the key. When someone on your team shares something with you, really listen without interrupting. Get to their perspective, acknowledge their feelings, and try to understand what they're going through. This helps build a deeper connection and trust with your team. And number 4 is social skills. Social skills are how you manage relationships and build networks. It's about effective communication, conflict resolution, and it's about fostering teamwork. This is really important. Leaders with strong social skills are great at creative, positive environments where people feel valued and heard. That's huge. In a previous episode, I talked about how one of the most important pieces that drives human behavior is the need to feel important. So when you listen to your team, you make them feel valued, heard, you assign dignity, you assign them importance that they're after. So it's important in this area to focus on clear, open communication. Make an effort to engage with your team regularly, not just in times of conflict and crisis. It's important to have community before the storm hits. Be open to feedback. It's a really great way for you to improve your people skills. So, why does emotional intelligence even matter so much in leadership anyway? Well, first and foremost, emotional intelligence assigns dignity to those whom you're talking to. It's very easy for us to get in work mode and forget that the people that we are interacting with have their own lives, going through their own things. It's important to be able to work with humans as humans towards a greater purpose. And it also builds trust. People are more likely to follow a leader that understands their emotions or gets to their perspective and can create a positive and inclusive environment. Leaders who can empathize and communicate effectively create a great sense of loyalty and a real connection with their team. So please, please, please lean in with trust, lean in with EQ. It's going to make a difference. It's also going to help you to make better business decisions or family decisions, life decisions in general. When emotions are high, whether that's excitement, whether that's stress, sadness, name an emotion, I promise you there's an extreme of it somewhere. Leaders that have a high emotional intelligence can separate emotion from logic and make decisions that are best for the team and the organization. If you're having a hard time stepping back from a situation, write it out. Be able to see it clearly when all the information's on paper and make a decision from there. And finally, emotional intelligence helps with team performance. So research shows that emotionally intelligent leaders are more engaged, more productive, and experience less conflict. This is because emotional intelligence creates a really healthy atmosphere, creates a really great culture where people can feel understood, valued, they can feel important, and that encourages collaboration, innovation, creativity, you name it. So, what are some practical ways that you can develop emotional intelligence? Here are just a few practical strategies that have worked for me. And the first one is to seek feedback. I believe that if you are unable to receive feedback and give constructive feedback, then you are not a leader. You need to be able to seek feedback. So regularly ask for feedback from your team, from your family, anybody that is within your circle, that's peers, mentors, teachers, students, children. Ask for feedback. There's no shame in it. In fact, there's only upside. Sure, if you are struggling with pride, your ego might get hurt a little bit, but I believe that seeking feedback is highly important. And it's also how you can understand the perspective of other people and how you can understand how others perceive. You can provide insights into your emotional responses and figure out where it is in there that you need to improve and create an environment where feedback is welcomed and it's seen as a tool. Feedback is highly important for anybody trying to grow in any area of life. If you're not approachable with feedback, and if you're not approachable to feedback, then there are more issues that exist there that need to be ironed out. So I challenge you to seek feedback. The next is to practice active listening. Assign dignity to other people. It's one of the simplest, yet one of the most powerful things that we can do in order to develop emotional intelligence. So when somebody's speaking, give them your full attention. And one of the biggest distractors in any situation, and I love what Simon Sinek does. So once again, Simon Sinek is a great developer of leaders. He's a great thought leader in his industry, and he did an example where he said if somebody has their phone out, this doesn't communicate that you're the most important thing to me. For those that are listening and not watching, I've got my phone and it's face down on the table right in front of me. That is saying, okay, at any moment, this is going to come between us. So it's important that you put all distractions away. Doesn't matter if your phone is face up, face down. It's not more respectful one way or the other. The distraction is still there. And so when somebody's speaking, give them your full attention. When my wife is speaking, I try really hard to have my phone in my pocket, put away. I want her to be the most important thing in the room at that moment. And what can I do to communicate that to her with both my words and my actions? And I try to do that with my team as well. And so give anybody who's talking to you your full attention. That's hard to do in a world full of distractions, but whatever you can do to communicate that with your words and your actions, give them your full attention. Don't interrupt or start formulating your response while they're talking. Listen to understand. Do not listen to respond. And this might mean that after somebody says something, you sit in awkward silence for a second while you're processing your thoughts. Get comfortable with the awkward silence because it's going to be a great indicator of you actually listening to somebody to understand their perspective, their problems, rather than trying to prove that you're the smartest person in the room by formulating a response mid-sentence, mid-question. Listen to understand, not to respond. And then develop mindfulness. We talked about it already. But mindfulness is a really great way for you to stay in tune with your emotions, whether that's meditation, whether that is breathing exercises like star breathing, or maybe it's just simply taking a moment away from everything once in the day, saying, hey, I need 5-10 minutes to go collect my thoughts, calm down a little bit, come back into this situation. That's my preferred method of mindfulness, and my wife has become really receptive to that. And so being able to take moments of silence, moments of intention away from everything to help me stay grounded, to help me focus, to level out my emotions, collect my thoughts, is a really important piece of mindfulness and self-regulation. And the fourth practical step for you today is to show empathy in your actions. The next time that somebody on your team is going through something, I want you to really take a moment to try and understand their perspective. Because I promise that you do not understand their perspective 100% as soon as they say what they're going through. Try your hardest to understand their perspective. You could ask questions like, how are you feeling about this? Or what can I do to support you? Showing empathy can help to strengthen your relationship. It can also help you to deepen trust within your team, within your family, within your community. And the last practical step for you today, step number 5, is to invest in emotional intelligence training. That can be free, that can be paid. It can be in the form of books, courses, or maybe even coaching that's specifically focused on emotional intelligence. These can be really transformative mediums for you to develop emotional intelligence and to seek feedback. Continual learning is so important to developing emotional intelligence and maintaining emotional intelligence. This is not something that comes naturally to me. It's something I have to work for all the time. And if I do not work on my emotional intelligence, I'm not going to maintain it. It's not how I'm naturally wired, but I am taking steps each and every day to improve in this area, and it is going to help you in your life if you do the same thing. And so I want to point out a couple of real life examples that I have for you here. One great example is Satya Nadella, who is the CEO of Microsoft. And when he took over the company, he focused on shifting the corporate culture toward empathy and inclusivity. So Nadella prioritized emotional intelligence by encouraging open communication, understanding, and collaboration. And ultimately, this really created a much higher satisfaction rating at Microsoft. And so we see examples that go the other direction as well, such as leaders who were really, really technically skilled, very logical in mind, but they just could not connect with their teams emotionally. And so these leaders often face higher turnover rates, lower team morale, and even public criticisms. It's a clear reminder that emotional intelligence is just as important, if not more important, than having a high IQ, a high intellect within leadership. And so, wrapping things up, developing emotional intelligence is not something that happens overnight. It is a lifelong process. It's a muscle that you have to work out, and you have to be intentional about working it out, and you have to work it out with proper form. And if you do that, then you're going to be really greatly rewarded in your life and your leadership. And that's whether you're managing a team or you're simply looking to grow yourself. Focusing on self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, and social skills will really help you to evaluate your leadership and improve your relationships. Remember, the best leaders are not just the smartest, but they're also the ones that can connect with people, build trust, and lead with empathy. When I was going through a recent round of promotions at the company that I work for, my 9 to 5, I tried to prepare as many bullet points as possible. That way I could show them, hey, I know exactly the technical abilities that the position that I'm going for entails. But I had to take a step back and realize that the person that I was interviewing with cares more about the connection with people than the technical skills. Are they both important? Absolutely. But being able to connect and work well with other people and understand other people, to care for other people well, is highly, highly important. And so as you work on your emotional intelligence, I challenge you to implement just one of the strategies that we talked about today. I highly encourage you to, in addition to one of the other strategies that we talked about, to also journal once a day or once a week, once every 2 weeks, externally process somehow. Maybe start with, self-awareness or practice active listening this week. These are both really great places to get started, and you can get started immediately. So, Thank you all so much for tuning in. Go ahead and subscribe to this YouTube channel or download this podcast. Share it with somebody who you think might benefit from personal and professional growth. And this has been another episode of the Joshua Bridwell Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Catch you next time. Let's grow.